Good to go. Thank you. Welcome to the February meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda, unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom, oh no, Tom, right? Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vincent Vignali. Muted. Vincent Vignali.
Still here.
Okay. Owen Jones.
Here.
Thank you. Some basic ground rules. For presenters and or applicants listed on the agenda, I will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. I will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded and will be available for viewing via the Northborough Remote Meeting website at the conclusion of this meeting. Diane, you ready?
I'm sorry.
Are you ready, Diane? Do you have your reading?
Yeah, I do. I also don't have my screen.
You looking? We can see you.
I can't see you. Well, I can see you, but I can't see anybody else. But that's all right. I'll read this. There will be a meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission on Monday, February 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 29th, 2023. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members or the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this public hearing, go to the Northborough Remote Meetings YouTube channel or the town website for Zoom information included on the posted agenda meeting. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and or the Northborough Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. First is application for notice of intent at 202 Brigham Street, map and parcel 7341 and 8422, owned by Juniper Hill Golf Course Incorporated, to renovate the greens for holes 8, 16, and 17 with work in the 100-foot flood zone, riverfront area, and the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. Secondly, application for a notice of intent for 0 Hudson Street, map 53, parcels 19 and 20, owned by Scott Goddard, Circle Assets LLC, to construct a duplex with invasive plant remediation, a constructed wetland replication area, bordering land subject to flooding, filling, and compensatory areas and associated site work with activity proposed within the bordering vegetated wetlands, riverfront area, bordering land subject to flooding 25-foot no disturb zone and the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. That's what I have.
Super, thanks, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, meeting minutes from January. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concern with those? No, nodding heads, everybody's good. Diane, you good?
Yes.
Okay, need a motion to accept the meeting minutes from January.
I so move that we accept the minutes for January.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Justin. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. First up on the agenda is a continuation for a stormwater management and land disturbance permit of 311 Crawford Street. Benny, I think you received something in the mail over the weekend from them.
Yes, I received a revised design package yesterday. I guess came in yesterday, so I found it this morning. I haven't had time to review it, but they requested a continuance, so
Okay.
we do have progress, which is nice.
That is nice because we were kind of at the end of our rope here with them. So, okay, so we need a motion to continue 311 Crawford Street to the March meeting.
So move.
Is there a second? Second by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Another continuation, an NOI for 15 Prospect Street. And this one they also, I think, want a continuation, but is that correct?
Yes, they're addressing comments associated with the septic. They flipped the building and are kind of realigning things with a septic system and an infiltration practice to meet the groundwater overlay district. And they're doing some more work. So they're not ready for tonight, but they said they'd like to be here. They plan to be ready for our next meeting.
Is there a plan still to pull everything away from jurisdictional stuff?
It is, yes. Can
Good.
stay outside the 35-foot no structures.
Okay. All right, need a motion to continue 15 Prospect Street. Is
So move.
there a second?
Second.
Second by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Continue to March 11th.
Yes.
All right, another continuation, 6 Hillside Road. And I believe we have
Zoe should be here.
Zoe's here. Okay, Zoe, I'll bring you in.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Zoe.
I'm not sure if the applicant is here as well. Enos Shehu might join on if he's on.
What's his name?
Enos or Lucas?
No.
That's okay. I just wanted to throw it out there just in case they were waiting.
Okay, well, I'll keep it. If I see a hand show up, we'll bring him in.
All right, thank you. So Zoe with Goddard Consulting. We presented at the last hearing for the notice of intent for 6 Hillside Road. We did not have a DEP file number. We did receive a DEP file number this afternoon. DEP file number 2471244. I can share my screen and go over the proposed work just to kind of recap.
Yeah, kind of a recap of folks here, sure. Then I think Vinny, I see there's some communications back and forth too we can cover after that.
Perfect. Okay, can everyone see the site plan on my screen?
Oh, that's okay.
A little bit big. Can you a little bit bigger? Yeah, that's bigger. That's big.
Sorry, I'm trying to zoom back out, but I think my computer is, oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay.
Is that okay?
I guess, yeah, we can live with that.
Sorry. Yeah, so I can kind of zoom in as I'm talking maybe. So just to go over the proposed work, there's an existing deck here in the back with a patio that extends about halfway underneath the deck that the applicant's requesting to replace all with an existing footprint, as well as get rid of this old septic system, failed septic system, and put a new one in the front. And then redo the driveway slightly. So the existing driveway, if everyone can see my mouse, it comes up along the property line here. Over and down is the existing driveway. They want to move it over here to this bold line as they come up, over and down, just to create more parking space. And then this area that will be converted back into lawn. So that and then some house renovations, but all within the existing footprint, like exterior and interior stuff. So the applicant requests an order of condition for the proposed work for the deck, the septic system, and the driveway and the house renovations.
Zoe, where's the driveway gonna go? Is that right by the septic system?
Yep, it's gonna go right on top of it. So if you follow my mouse, I know it's hard to see. I thought I had a colored up one. But it's this bold line that kind of comes up, crosses over and down.
Okay, yep. Okay. We visited the site again for the site walks. And I guess the issue that has come up, and Vinny, you can give me more detail on this, is DEP's, if you remember, there was a bunch of tires from the water line, actually the edge of the water line, up to probably almost to the proposed sediment barrier on that side, maybe a little bit, not quite that far. And I think DEP has come back with a ruling that's an issue from their perspective, and that it is the term is unapproved dumping, Vinny?
Excuse me. Yes, it was something similar, but it was an unapproved disposal of solid waste. And this was something that was raised at the last meeting. And I wasn't sure, Zoe, if you had done any research, because your firm went out and flagged the wetland area and walked through all the tires. So I assume you were aware that they were there. Is there any experience or knowledge in your firm or that you know of why that would be normally allowed? Because we talked about you were going to do a little research after the last meeting, and I never heard anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. So yeah, we went out and did delineation. Wasn't me personally, but I went out there today to get my eyes on the tire retaining wall. So it does go, it's basically right along the bank, like the edge of water. It's basically right along the bank of pond is like this tire retaining wall, 4 or 5 tires high. That's actually like holding the soil, acting as a retaining wall. It's hard to say how old it is. We believe it's very old, probably 50 plus years. There's trees growing out of some of the tires. And, regarding the retaining wall, we just believe it's a very old activity that most likely predated the Wetlands Protection Act. Who knows who actually, put it in there, but definitely predates the current owner. And we also realize that it's off-site as well. So the property line is right here along this 50 plus icon here. And, overall, the proposed work that the applicant is proposing here is an overall improvement we see of the site, by pulling that driveway back, redoing the deck. He's happy to clean up so the retaining wall goes along the bank, and then there's some loose debris, maybe a tire or a few like on the backyard. Get that cleaned up, get rid of there's like a little trash can over here, clean it up. But we see it, the project itself, what he's proposing as an overall improvement. And we think that, the restoration of the tire retaining wall is not a part of the project at this time. And so the applicant just respectfully requests an order of condition for the proposed work as outlined in the notice of intent.
Well, if I remember, the tires come back more than the edge of the water, Vinny. Those tires come back. There's a little gate down there. There's a little pathway down to a gate.
Yeah, so it cuts in. I wonder if it's this, if you can see my
Yes.
mouse still.
I see it.
I wonder
Yep.
if it's this icon, if it's
Yep.
this like drawing here, it does kind of turn up and along the side of that path. I'm happy to pull up pictures if you'd like. I have some pictures.
Yeah, just to add in, I think that double line there is showing the tires. That's what that's the actual, I assume that's what Vito, the engineer, did for the tire line.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, so that pretty much, I think it appropriately represents the extent of the tires. There's a little chain link fence at the top of the tire wall on the kind of I think it's the south side. I don't see the north arrow on here, but kind of the left side. Yeah, the southwest end. There is a chain link fence that is out there. And I know the plan shows the property line right there. So I wasn't sure at the last meeting, that was another question that came up. And so I did a little research myself and I checked the deed, and the deed says the property line goes to the edge of water. So it appears to me that the line on the drawing is incorrect, and it should extend all the way to the edge of water. Unless the edge of water has changed that much. Which
would you mind pulling up that deed? Because I also read a deed earlier and I actually didn't see that. Maybe I missed it.
I don't have it. Well, I don't have it here, but I know I pulled it up. It's referenced in the assessor information, so I just went to that deed reference.
Vinny, while you're doing that, here's a question too, Zoe. I mean, do we know for sure that the tires are not further into the lot? I mean, have we done any sort of soil testing, drilling down? Because I think the tires might be a little bit further back than just the retaining wall.
I didn't do soil tests while I was out there, but I can pull up some pictures if it's helpful. All right, just figuring out how. I think I might have to stop and then reshare. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And I
technical assistance with us if we need it.
What's that?
We have technical assistance with us here tonight.
Okay. All right. Can everyone see the picture?
Yes.
All right. So this is what I saw when I was out there. So it's right along, basically right along the edge of the pond, a little bit, a couple feet in front of it. Kind of swings around, goes down over here, and then that's when it cuts in where that path is, like if you wanted to access the water. But
I've got a little sketch and some photos if you want me to share.
Sure.
It's coming. So this is that same lot. And the pictures that are taken here, and around this side there. So now I'll try to get to the pictures. Got to go get them from the file at the office, so it takes a minute or two. All right, so this is a picture. This is the, okay, what does it say? The north side.
I think the gate is behind you here. It's behind us.
Yes, yep. This is right where that gate comes down. And you can see, I think my pointer is visible. You've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 layers. So you've got the pond level here, and then the tires are sitting just like that. And then should be able to, okay. So the next photo is taken back a little bit with the gate, that there was an access road that's on the plan that shows going down in the upper right corner, goes
Mhm.
down here, and then the tires kind of come around here and loop back along that ramp. And this is at the west edge, west property line, and this is looking down with the bank here, looking at the, I think that's probably still bank right there, and then the tires start coming up. So that's my shadow, and it's looking almost straight down at the tires. Zoe's picture was taken, I think, going up into the right.
On the other side.
Yep.
Okay.
And then this is the ramp going down with the tires in the wall.
Those are tires there too in the wall, the inside
These are
there.
tires, yes.
I don't know if that goes in deeper to the left. I don't know.
Yeah, we couldn't see where they ended, but you get the tires there. So we're trying to figure out how much.
There's one up here too. If you look all the way up, there's one here at the very
This one?
right there. There's one here in the bottom.
Mhm.
Okay, yep. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
So-
so I mean, I don't know what the extent of the tire situation is there. What's the commission think? I mean, is this am I barking up a tree here, or is this something we want to think about addressing somehow?
It seems like DEP was pretty clear on their opinion that they shouldn't be there.
Well, so when we got DEP's, if I may, the chair, sorry.
Before we go there, Justin, any comments on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've certainly been in place for a while. They're certainly stable right now and holding this bank in place, but certainly something that we would never permit or want to see anywhere near a wetland. I do think it probably gets a little tricky if the property lines are accurate on the plan that we're looking at, that, if we were to require any type of work here, there would need to be some sort of easement onto whoever's property these tires are actually on right now. So I don't know who owns the pond, but this applicant would need rights then to be able to go onto that property to remove these tires, assuming that those property lines are right. And on the survey, I've done a lot of surveying in the past, it shows iron rods at all four corners. So that would tell me that at least the property corners are nailed down pretty well on that survey plan. So I think it does get a little tricky with this applicant, that probably used to follow the old bank of whatever the pond was here. But then once this fill was placed and once these tires were put in place, that line along the pond, changed, because there's clearly, a few feet of fill that were put in behind these tires. And whether or not, to Greg's point, whether or not those tires extend in and the extent of this fill, could be tires, that whole solid distance, we just wouldn't know. So I think there's a number of things that I think complicate this. And I just wonder if, for the amount of work that the applicant's proposing and things like that, if it makes sense, for us to require, something like this at this time. It just seems like we could uncover, a whole bunch of stuff here by digging around and make a pretty unstable condition along the bank of the stream. And could potentially cost more than whatever the project is that they're proposing out here right now. So I don't know. I feel like I'm really torn with a number of things that are kind of in front of us with this one.
Yeah, I understand. Diane, what about you?
I was just thinking that there must be a history on this pond about different sizes that it might have taken over years. Would that challenge this in some way? Otherwise, I'm of the opinion it better left alone. And somehow having it pegged in there. I know that's not the right word, but fixed so that it can't move any further.
Then doesn't the Concom own the pond?
I think so.
know.
I think they do.
But who owned it before us?
That I don't remember. There was
Well,
a
there was-
deed, so I don't,
Mm,
I'm not exactly sure. And there are different parcels on this property. I'm trying to pull up the assessor information. The assessors show the town owning the, actually, I'll pull that up so you can see what I'm doing. So here we are. This is the property here.
no.
Oh, it works through it. Wow. Okay. It's not just looking at the image. All right. So this is 6 Hillside. Right there. And when I looked up the deed, I didn't make a copy of it, but this is the deed reference right there, the book and page. And I thought that I read that it went down to the water line. So if it says water line, it doesn't matter. I think as far as deed research goes, it goes to the water line. And as the water line adjusts, that's usually the mean annual high water. So that's something to research, I guess. And this property has been owned since 1992 by the prior owner. And what did I do? I actually looked up, do this. I looked up the aerial images from like 2008. And I tracked down a little bit of information to see what it looked like. And it looks like it's closer to the water right there. But it's going to take more research than what we can do really at this meeting. You know, and then the aerial disappears when you zoom in too far. But I think the situation that I anticipate is that additional research needs to be done to find out the extent of it, who owns it. I'm pretty sure that can be found. And then a little more research with DEP to find out what the process is and whether they just say it may be unpermitted solid waste, but whether it's been done in the past, whether in the past they have permitted these types of structures instead of going in and mucking around or ripping up the whole area. I don't know what DEP's thoughts are, but I got that information last week. So it's still kind of new.
Yep. Okay.
So what I was expecting was to continue the hearing tonight, have Zoe and her team with Vito as the engineer, have them come up with a plan of whether they really own it or not, the extent of what it is. And then, as Justin said, what might need to be done according to DEP's solid waste folks. And if they say it should get taken out, does that exceed the value or the avail or the reasonable costs that would be required for a reconstruction project that's before us? So a lot of unknowns before we can make any decisions, I think.
Yep. Okay.
I think that seems fair to me too, Vinny. And I wonder too, just, maybe it's something Zoe and Vito, could look into too, is just, if you have tires like that as his tires to me always seem dirty, but then they seem like they're just rubber too. And if we had like a man-made retaining wall right there, like what would the real difference to the pond be? If it's a tire versus if it's a concrete retaining wall or something like that along it, or steel, an old metal kind of piled wall or something like that. I just don't know, is there really any major issue, with having a rubber tires right there versus, a wall or something like that could be along, a pond like this. Obviously there's a kind of a man-made like sluiceway over by Otis Street that allows the water to kind of get through and down to the stream down there. There's man-made structures and things like that associated with it. I just don't know, would tires be any dirtier or worse to have there than something like that too? Yeah, I think that'd be something worth the applicant kind of looking into.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. So I just want to thank everyone. I really appreciate the comments. And I guess, if more research is requested for this, it's up to the applicant, for him to look into this. But I think at this time, looking at the overall project of what we're proposing through this notice of intent, overall improvement, redoing the septic system, redoing the driveway, redoing the house and parts of the house and the back deck. Overall, pretty simple, straightforward project. I would hate for this to, bog down that part of the project, well, the main purpose, and maybe treat this as its own separate thing, because overall we're seeing an improvement. So, I was just, wondering if maybe this could be treated as like a separate thing where, we can take care of what is proposed here and now. And then, we can work with the applicant to encourage him to have us look into this for him and provide our help and come forward maybe in the future to do something with this if necessary. I do want to just mention that when DEP issued the file number, there were no comments left on that. So I don't have much information exactly what they're saying. So yes, of course, like more research maybe or could be done on this. But again, just want to reiterate that we're just looking to focus on the proposed project and hopefully see an overall improvement on the site with what we have in front of us.
Okay. Personally, I don't like moving ahead with a piece of it with this other piece hanging out because it may never get done. I don't know what the resolution is going to be for the tires, the solid waste group. They may be adamant about they got to come out. I don't know. The tires may go all the way back to the deck. It might have been a dumping ground for tires more than just the retaining wall. I don't know. I'd like and the results of those open items may cause the applicant to reconsider what he wants to do. And I like to keep them connected somehow. It's my own feeling. But I can be dissuaded otherwise.
I
Go ahead.
Dan.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
I tend to agree with you, Greg. I also think tires are potentially environmental hazard. I think they can leach heavy metals, organic compounds and stuff. So I'm not sure, regardless of what DEP says, I'm not sure it's in our best interest to not address the problem now that we know about it. But I'm not a tire expert. But certainly determining who owns those tires and get some more guidance from DEP, I think is appropriate. I don't know if there's been a survey done on the property. I know that, the assessor's parcels are notoriously inaccurate. So I don't know if anyone's got an actual survey of the property to see where the property lines are.
Diane, comment?
I was just wondering if it might fall into place with the Historical Society. There are still enough people in town who would remember what, when, where. Might be a little something that way. So that it would help you decide whether, this is something new in the last 20 years or whether it's much older than that. I mean, after all, conservation didn't come in until 80. The commission wasn't installed until 85, I think.
No, that's when you started, Diane. That was 1961.
Don't remind me of that.
No, it's 1961 because our new clerical assistant there is scanning in all the old agendas and minutes. So it was established in 1961, which I didn't know. I thought the Wetlands Protection Act actually came into being in 83, like you. But I guess there was something even before that.
Well, who was chairing the commission or how was it put together at that time? Do you know? No,
I don't know.
because I know when I came on board, Mary Lee Angelini was, and Kara. Oh, what's her last name?
Poznanski or,
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, those were the names that I remember seeing on the minutes, but
yeah,
that's as much as I can remember. That's,
okay, I.
So, how do we move ahead here? Do we,
Research,
I think more research needs to be done. And we
Yeah.
may end up coming to the point where they're left there for whatever reasons. It also may come to the point where they've got to come out. And who's responsible for doing that would be another possibility. Yeah. So,
If I may, I think at this point, the applicant would request that the commission make a decision tonight through an order of conditions for the work that's proposed here.
I think there's a lot of outstanding information that needs to be submitted. So the only decision that might come out of this would be probably that it would be denied for lack of information associated with that other work. I did have questions originally on the septic design, but we've gotten an interpretation from the Board of Health that that said that the assumed groundwater elevation is what Vito proposed. So that question's kind of off the books. So that one has been addressed. So that's good. So the only real outstanding issue here is what's happening within the 25-foot no disturb zone. And we haven't gotten any information on that. And in the future, because right now you're saying it's an improvement, and I agree that the project is an improvement if someone were living there. But right now there's nobody there. There's no septic load. There's no activity occurring at that site. So there's not an impact. If someone moves in there when the house gets renovated, then there will be activity, there'll be more risk, and there'll be more impacts. And if we haven't addressed this issue with the retaining wall and any other things that might come up in the 25-foot no disturb zone, then we're chasing after the cow gets out, basically.
Through the chair, if I may, I think protection of the 25-foot buffer zone and this tire retaining wall being present are kind of two separate things here. The applicant agreed to last hearing to protect the 25-foot by putting posts out that say 25 no disturb if necessary. They're more than willing to do that, and also willing to put an order of condition in that shows that if he decides to rent or sell this property in the future, that any future owner or person living there is aware of the 25 and 35 foot to ensure that that's protected and they don't go out doing anything in that area. As of right now, the only work proposed within the 25 and 35 is just redoing that deck in the back and that existing footprint with the proposed erosion control as well. With the site plans that we have showing the property lines, and as you know, Justin mentioned, the metal posts showing the corners show a really good representation of where the property lines currently are. I did read a deed. Maybe we're looking at different deeds. We are, but you know, I'm happy to look into the deeds, of course. We believe that property line as shown is pretty accurate, and that you know, tire retaining wall. I thought my screen was showing for a second, but I just realized it's not. It does come on to the property, that portion that jets up into the walkway that leads to the water a little bit, but again, just to hold the applicant back from getting work started on, you know, what he came forward with originally, I think that maybe this should be treated as like its own separate thing. And if, you know, we're happy to do research, you know, if it's requested. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for
All right.
listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. I'm kind of surprised that this issue wasn't raised when the environmental folks went out there to start with, so that he knew, so the owner knew going in what he was going to have to deal with. So I know it is kind of late in the game here, but I think it's a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, my view is I'd like to get that resolved. I mean, I understand where Zoe's coming from, and the only way that I personally would consider a pause, go moving forward would be with the understanding that not any work is done until this issue is resolved, the tire issue. So you have an approval potentially, but no work can start. That'd be my view of things. And I'm not sure that gets you anywhere.
So I had a question, Greg. So if we close this and issue order with conditions, but how do we reopen something to address the tires?
There would have to be a new NOI.
I think it'd have to be a whole new filing, so that's
But-
where I don't think we'd wanna close it, because then if it is determined that those tires need to come out, then it's an entirely. It's a change this, you gotta re-notify the abutters, it's a full, redo of the NOI, basically, so I would think. The applicant would wanna keep it open at least till the next meeting to try to get a couple of these things answered.
And I just, so you know, I just checked that deed reference at the Registry of Deeds, and it says you go from Clifton Road northerly and then westerly by Smith Pond, 50 feet.
Oh, would you mind pulling that up if that's okay with the chair?
It's the deed referenced in the thing. I don't know that we need to we use time up at a public hearing. I mean, it's
Oh. Sorry, what did it say again?
westerly by Smith Pond, 50 feet, and then southerly by Lot 5, site plan 97 feet, containing 3796 square feet.
So would that mean that it's 50 feet from Smith Pond, how it's shown on the site plan?
No, you should probably talk to Vito.
So,
So,
my recommendation here is that we do not close the hearing. We continue it until the March 11th meeting. Between now and then, we can get the research done between DEP, the solid waste group, the property line, and all that. Get that wrapped up. Or you get Vito involved in the discussion as well. And then we can make a decision in terms of what has to happen, if anything.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you need a motion?
We need a motion to continue.
I so move that we continue this particular application until it can be figured out what's the best way to handle the tire situation.
Is there a second?
Continuing it to March 11th meeting.
The March 11th meeting.
Second,
Roll call. Dan Clark,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner.
Yes,
I vote yes. So you need to get with Vinny to see exactly what has to happen. Because you heard there's 2 or 3 things, right? Of what we got to cover. The deed certainly being one. The property line will give us the deed, piece of water. How big is that tire field? Does it go all the way back, or is it just around the perimeter? What does the solid waste group suggest? But you probably want to cover DEP also.
Yes, yeah, I have to, Zoe requested the information that I got from DEP,
Yep.
so I can dig that out and get that over to her tomorrow. Well,
Okay.
no, Wednesday. I won't be going in the office tomorrow.
And we'll aim for the March 11 meeting.
Yeah.
So are you clear on everything from our side?
yes, thank you.
If you're not, you know where Vinny is, right? So. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, we'll try it again next month, get some questions answered. All right.
Are you staying on for Juniper Hills, Zoe? Did
Oh,
you
no.
flag that one? Oh, okay.
No. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks.
Oh, that's right. That's Brian Waterman.
Okay, so let's see. We'll move Zoe back to attendee. All right. Yeah, let's say it's a sticky one. So, and truly is a slippery slope, Justin, in more than ways than one. So it's very, it's I don't know. But let's see. I mean, solid waste
Yeah.
was pretty adamant.
That pond, that neighborhood, we've had plenty of things down in that neighborhood, the way that was all constructed and put together, and it's just a really interesting place
Yeah.
over there. So I'm sure, sure you put shovels in the ground around there, who knows what you're gonna find.
Or who, right? Okay, Brigham Street. See who we have here for Brigham Street. Dudley Darling, probably. Let's Dudley, should we bring you in, or is there anybody else besides you coming?
I'm expecting Brian
Oh, there's
Waterman.
Brian Waterman. Okay, there he is. All right. Let's bring Brian Waterman in. Bring Dudley in too.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me?
We can.
All right. How's everyone doing?
Good.
We are okay.
Hi, Dudley. So
All
we're
right.
here on behalf of Juniper Golf Club, specifically for work on hole number 8, 16, and 17 at the Riverside course. Just to let you know, we did receive a DEP file number this afternoon, 247-1245, and there were no comments on that one. But so I think Vincent, I don't know if you want to bring up the plans, or I can try to share from this this laptop if you'd like.
Which kind of, I think I have what's called a 2022 aerial with, I think that's.
Yeah, the aerials on there to show the overall and then the existing condition survey and the delineation, and then the proposed plans should be in that one PDF.
Got a bunch of green cards here.
Yeah, there were a few. I can try to bring the plans up quick if you want.
Yeah, I have to go out to North. I'm at home and it's going to North Bar to get the plan, so it's taking a little while.
Yeah, hang on a second. Let's see.
Okay, I've got it.
Can you guys see that?
Yes, aerial photos.
Yep. So on this overall, on the bottom right-hand block, this is the clubhouse here, and hole number 8, 17, and 16. This is Brigham Street, the Assabet River. And this is a pond here that was excavated, I believe, in the 50s. It's backwater from the Assabet. Excuse me. So hole number 8, if we go up here to a little more detail, you can see this part of the Assabet River. We have mean annual high water flags along here. This is an existing paved cart path right here. And this is a wetland area. Excuse me, red maple swamp, wooded shrub swamp. And this black line you can kind of see there is our delineated wetland. So you have this in the buffer zone as well as,
Excuse me, Brian, can you zoom into that image? I'm having trouble seeing it, so I'm not sure if
oh, I'm
others.
sorry, I can try. This thing's not the friendliest thing here.
Yeah, maybe one more and then, yeah. There you go.
So this black line right here is the delineated wetland line. You can see the green number 8 fairway. This is the Assabet River here. This is the 200-foot riverfront. It's kind of the maintained collar area, if you will. There's a 18-inch culvert that runs from this wetland under the fairway out to the Assabet. And again, this is the paved cart path. So I'll just give you a little history on that. And then this is 16, green number 16. This is the fairway coming down to the green. We have a BVW complex here. And there's an existing drain, this gray line that you see here. I'll point it out on the other plan in a second, but I just wanted to relate it to you to the aerial so you have a better view. And then this is the fairway going over to number 17. You have the pond here. So we have a wetland area here. This is a steep slope that drops down to the green. And then we have the mean annual high water for the Assabet here. So this projects riverfront here. It's protected over this ridge here. So there's really, we're in the riverfront, but this goes uphill, 15 to 20 feet. So that's the overall area. Let me see if I can knock this down a little bit for you. So let's see. So here's number 8 without the aerial, so it might be a little clearer. This is based on our field survey that we did and some record plans, some of the record drainage that's already out on this hole. Here's that 18-inch pipe that we're talking about that goes between this wetland. So you can see the existing cart paths here, sand trap, sprinkler heads. This green was put in 1930 and has no sub-drainage. And just the way it's graded, you'll get some natural runoff here and it ponds up in front of the green.
Yep.
The grass needs to be redone. So they're proposing to redo this green, add some sub-drainage to tie into this existing drain line, reshape the green a bit. They're going to put it back to existing grade, so there's no change to bordering land subject to flooding. This entire area is in, here's the 100-year flood, and then a 100-year flood. So this whole entire area is within the mapped 100-year flood. It's unstudied. There's not a set elevation. It's the amoeba, if you will. But they are going back to existing grades, so there's no fill coming in here. We're not changing the bordering land subject to flooding or losing any storage. So that's generally number 8. And see if I can get over here to 16 and 17. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So you have the existing railroad tracks. There's a historic drain line that runs through this fairway in front of 16, cuts through the wetland, and then comes out to the pond over here. So this has an existing 8 and a 4-inch drain that comes into this catch basin. Then within the catch basin, there's a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe that connects to the next catch basin and then runs out to here. We did identify there's a dislodged section of the 24-inch here where it's where a joint was put together and it's come apart several inches. So part of this proposal is to repair that joint. If you're out there, you do have flow going through it, but there is a breach in the top where it just needs to be repaired. So to kind of give you an idea of what we have, this hole here, let me see if I can, oops. So this is number 8. This is that wetland in the area here. This is one of the cart paths. The Assabet River back here about 212 feet away. This is the green complex number 8, the sand trap over here in the fairway. So, you know, the work is to strip this, stockpile the sod, trench, put in your drain system and tie it into that existing drain, and then put it back to same grade. Over here, this is the 16th green, existing gravel cart path. That wetland with the 24-inch culvert and catch basins is with right here. This is the 16th fairway. And then the 17th is, as you saw in that overall fairway, about 450, 60 feet from this area. And then this is number 17. We have the pond on this edge. So we have the wetland along here. The riverfront, the median high waters on the backside of this 115 feet away. And you can see the hillside here that protects it on that between the river and here. Yeah, I might have to reduce this down. So this is number 8. They're proposing to remove about 450 square feet of the front part of the green just because of the drainage issues, the way it's graded in here. Reshape it this way to the same elevation, add in these new drain sub drains and tie it in to the existing main line here. We've got erosion control barrier. This is straw wattle with or sediment control barrier, straw wattle with entrenched silt fence. And then around the perimeter, we just did a silt fence. This is flat, allow them to get in here and close it off. Then on 16, you have the existing green here. So that would be reshaped, fix some of the drainage here and add in a new soil complex and grass just so this can be maintained. It just does not weather well. This green was 1950, I believe, and green 17 in 1970. So again, this would be improving drainage around it, tying into some of the existing drainage here, and then resodding this with the new soil complex. So it allows for future, you know, viability for the greens. The Northeast Golf Company and the golf course architect Robert McNeil, these have much more detailed on some of the grading and then showing how the soil and sod complex would be for the grain and the proposed subdrain here. So these plans just kind of detail from the golf course architect, you know, the minute grading you do for the green with the drainage improvements. So it's really work on greens that have been there for obviously many generations, improving some of the drainage, repairing that one separation on the 24-inch, which is general maintenance. Everything has erosion control barriers. Vincent had some comments and we've addressed those. He had also suggested we put in for a waiver on number 8 here for work in the BLSF. So we submitted the waiver request that we will be working the BLSF, but we're not altering the grades as such to lose any flood storage, potential flood storage. So I think Dudley, you can chime in, but I think they're trying to do this, you know, work in the March through September period. working it around some of the course and contractor. But it should be fairly quick work once they can get in there and do the work. Dudley, do you want to add anything in, or I'll turn it over to the commission and Vincent for comments?
Basically, on the 16th, the water that's coming in on the right side of the fairway comes underneath the railroad track. So that's a donation from our neighbor, apparently. And with the weather we've had in the last year, it's been kind of untenable trying to keep the area mowed. And some of the areas that on 16, between 16 and 17, the wetland that Brian mentioned, that used to be mowed in there. It has become more of a wetland in the last few years.
But Dudley, so the drainage work is really just on 8. Is that true?
No, drainage on all 3 of them.
On all 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take you down to the architect's plan on 16, 17. Let that clear up a little bit.
We had gotten an RDA on drainage on 1, 8, and 9 in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So that covered drainage on the fairway side of the 8th green and improved the drainage there, but had not covered any of the drainage underneath the 8th green.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see these new blue lines, the dashes, tying into the main solid blue line there. So you've got the dashes under the green, and then this low section of the fairway, which is getting some of this additional drainage from under the tracks collecting here. So there are existing pipes in here, but they're just not adequate for the water that's coming through. So that'll be cleaned up and tied into this existing line. And then when the green surface is redone, you can see the new dashed lines under the green here. That'll all tie back out to this main line. And then I think 17. '17 is similar. These dashed lines, these are existing lines around the perimeter. So you have this hillside coming down that we saw in the picture. And then here's the pond. So we have erosion control barrier. And then the purple lines here are just the regrading once the green is complete and the drainage is done. So
Interesting. Okay. Questions from the commission? Comments? Concerns, if any?
Just a quick question. I think you said you're digging out and replacing the soil at 16 and 17. What's the fate of that material? Are you trucking it away? What are you doing with it all?
It'll be kept on property. Some of that will be used. It'll be amended with sand and soil and peat mix and used in front of the 16th green. The rest of it will be kept on property.
Anything else?
16th.
Vinny, how are you in this one? Oh, you're muted, Vin. You're muted. There you go.
Yes, Brian has addressed the questions that I had. The only question that came to mind when he was doing the presentation is you said you were going to be replacing or adding new drains in, those under drains. Are you going to be trenching those in, or are you going to be pulling the line through?
On number 8, they would just strip the sod, stockpile that, trench in these. They're 4-inch drains, so they trench it, do their stonework, do the soil, and then replace the sod on the green. I
Yeah,
believe
no,
that's
those are good. I like those. In the area that was outside your sediment control barrier, you had in one of the fairways, I think it was the 17th, I think maybe. You said you were doing drainage out on a fairway and you were going to be replacing some lines.
Oh, that's on 16 here. Let me see if I can.
And that was one that I asked about, making sure you had the sediment control around the work area.
Yeah, we've got it. This is all new sediment control.
Okay. Yep. That's
around
right.
here. We extended it up here. You can see the grades, everything's flowing this way.
Yep.
So we ran it up to the intercept this contour so that anything potentially runs off is contained in this area.
Okay. Yep. That sounds good.
Same thing here. We extended this a little bit to bring it up to this contour. So it surrounds a limit of work where anything could potentially, everything is flowing this way. So we've got it on this side there. And then this is all upslope. So.
Right. So it's just on the downhill side, doesn't totally surround it. It's just the downhill. We don't need it
The
up
only
at the
one
top
we
of the hill.
surrounded was on 8 with the flood zone.
Right.
And we extended that around. We kept the double row, with the straw wattle. Where did I go? Sorry. This one. Come on. So we did the straw wattle with the entrenched silt fence on this side, which this is the slope here.
Mhm.
Out here it's flat, but we ran that around with silt fence so they can just get in and out of it easy. But it's so flat right here, and this isn't going anywhere. And we ran it outside where it'll be tying into this existing line. So you'll have protection there as well.
Yep. And that's good. That you want to enclose that because that's where it floods. So the water can come from any side.
Yep. And we added the note here that about, no work until the barriers are in and they're inspected by you or members of the commission. So
yep. Good.
So this is it's going to be I guess you said a 6 or 7 month effort earlier from March until September.
Well, not the entire. They'd be working. Dudley, you can clarify this, but no, the work won't take 6 months on each green. It's just they may do, I think, 16 and 17 first, and then 8 towards September. Is that correct, Dudley?
Yes, yeah. The contractor that we were working with originally, he was booked 2 years out.
Wow.
And he had a window of opportunity to do it late February or March, but we still have frozen ground in spots where he would be working. So he's going to try to do it in conjunction with another project, and I think he's working on the country club. And then on number 8, if he has time to do that, we'll have him do that. Otherwise, we'll try to do that in-house later on.
Well, I recall when that work was done earlier, a couple of years ago, you had that work done on 1 and so forth. Whoever you used, he was in and out in like 3 or 4 days, I think, wasn't he? It was very quick.
It was longer than that, but he was very quick, and he has to come back and do a little more work to replace some of the drain covers. But yeah, he did a good job, and he did it pretty quickly.
Any more questions from the commission? Comments, concerns?
Nothing really on the under drains or anything for me. Just kind of wondering, Brian, you said they have to get into that wetland, right, to repair that pipe. So what's the plan over there? Like, you mat that thing or something to get a piece of equipment in there so you're not mucking it all up, or what's it look like over there?
I don't know if I have a picture. We got pictures of the pipe. I'll have to send those to Vincent if I didn't already, but let me try to zoom into this, Justin. So the break, we survey located, it's right here, and it's literally probably an inch or two where the two sections were joined. Looking at the photo, our hope is, and it looks like, because the top of the pipe is about an inch or two out of the soil,
Oh, okay.
that you can just hand dig around it and join the pipes, or add some kind of a rubber seal around it. So our thought and hope is that it can just all be done by hand while the soils are dormant.
Good.
And then in the spring when it grows, you won't even know you were there. But if we had to get in a machine, yeah, you'd have to do some kind of a corduroy bridge like the utility companies use or something. But our hope and goal is that that's not the case.
Yeah,
I
if
can
it's not
send,
very deep, if it's right there near the surface, hopefully they could just pick away, get to it and get a
Yeah,
coupling on it.
that's our hope, and it looks like it's doable. But I can send Vincent some pictures if he wants them forward to you guys, just so you can see exactly what you're talking about. Should have brought one of those up. But yeah, it's a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe. It just separated in that location about an inch or two. So hopefully it can just be all handwork.
Yeah, no, to me, that's fine, Brian. If it's gonna be hand stuff, that's better. I was just wondering if they were getting equipment or something like that in there, some details on how they're
I
gonna
mean, if
do
we
that.
run into something strange, we'd have to, come back to do a amendment or a field change and show a plan and discuss how we'd have to do it. But right now, we're not anticipating that.
I can include that as one of the conditions.
Yeah.
You all set, Justin? You good?
Yeah. Yep, thank you.
Anybody else? See if we have any public attendees. No hands up. Vinny, any special conditions you see here other than what you just mentioned?
Nope, we would
No?
pull out we have the standard conditions, but I don't know that we want to mark off the 25-foot no disturb zone on this one. So I don't think we'll need signs or boulders out there. There's enough trouble for you golfers out there already.
And you're not even a golfer and you're speaking that way.
Yeah.
Not all those stories are true.
Okay.
Don't torture yourself, Vincent.
Yeah, that's right. I'll stick to fishing.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's torture enough. Trust me.
You can do both here. You can fish in the pond in 17. I've seen fish in there before, so that's
Yeah.
For your balls, right?
yeah, well, another story. All right. Good. So if we have no other questions or comments, concerns, I think we can move to close the hearing. Is there a motion to close the hearing on 202 Brigham Street?
So move.
By Diane, is there a second?
Second,
Second by Dan. Roll call. Dan Clark,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes,
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We now need to issue a order of conditions for 202 Brigham Street with the special conditions as mentioned around, I think, with prep work for the digging process on 16, 17.
Yeah. The 24-inch between 16 and 17.
So moved.
Motion made by Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. You're all set.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Good night.
Good luck in the storm tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Same to you.
All right. Take care.
Okay, I've got a hand up here. Zoe has her hand up. I'm bringing Zoe in.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Zoe.
Hi, sorry. I know we continue the 6 Hillside Road to the next meeting. If I just may, I was just looking into the deed really quick, and I just wanted to share something really quick if that's okay.
3 minutes.
What did you say? Sorry.
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. So I looked into the deed that was referenced on the plot plan, and if I may share my screen, it states, so the deed corresponding with the plot plan that shows the survey property lines on the plans that we submitted shows that the property line closest to the bank of Smith Pond is 50 feet from Smith Pond, which would mean that most of that retaining wall is off property. Maybe a slight section is on, but most of it being off. And I guess I just wanted to kind of ask, the commission, and if I'm allowed to share my screen, I can, what would we do in a situation where it's most of the entire retaining wall is off site, and it's surveyed that way and the deed reflects that as well.
Well, let's pull up the deed. Let's see if someone else reads it the same way.
Thank you. So there was 2 different deeds. There was one from, I don't know if the date's on here. This was the one that was listed on the town GIS. And then I read this first part here.
Can you zoom in? There you go.
Yes. And then this is the other deed. It says the same thing pretty much, that the most recent deed as well. And then this is the plot plan that this book and page number matches up with this most recent deed. And then the plot plan shows those property lines at 50 feet from the edge of the pond. And then the revised plan that from Cornerstone that took that plot plan information onto this one. So
I would say, Zoe, I've worked surveying for years. So I would get the surveyor to just, take a look at this and certify it. I mean, basically what it says to me is usually when it says by Smith Pond, it means along the pond for 50 feet. So it's not saying that it's 50 feet away from the pond. It's saying that length approximately between that iron rod that they found at that corner and the iron rod at the other corner is about 50 feet in length between those two along the pond. So that's probably where the prior edge of water used to be, was where that 50-foot dimension is, before they actually constructed the tires and put a little bit of fill in there to move it out, because even from where the edge of water is now to that line is probably only 10 feet, based on your 25-foot buffer zone there too. So it's not saying that's 50 feet away from the pond, it's saying it's 50 feet along the pond.
That's how I read it. Basically, walk west 50 feet along the pond.
Yeah.
That's how I read it.
And the pond has moved over these years.
Yeah. We
Well,
see this a
because
lot.
of-
I've seen a lot of old deeds, especially along ponds and streams. We see them a lot on streams, along the edge of stream. It doesn't always fall right where that is, because certainly it varies over time. So I think if I was the surveyor here, I would look at those iron rods that they found as probably being the most important thing, because your deed reference between those iron rods, if it calls for certain lengths, like 108.5 feet or 97 feet exactly, if they found rods there and those distances match, then those are pretty good indications on your property corners. And what happens along the pond fluctuates certainly over time, but those corners, you know, might be right. And that's where, when it says iron rod found at each one of those corners, that tells me that the surveyor found something significant there that matches the deed. And that's where, to me, it leads me in my head to think that based on those iron rods, those tires may very well not be on the property, based on the way the property is described. So I think it's going to need a surveyor's interpretation of it, but it would be good for them to really kind of dig into that and certify something as the surveyor as to exactly where that line is.
Yeah, thank you.
You okay, Zoe?
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right. That I think is the end of the
No, 0
No.
Hudson Street.
0 Hudson Street. Thank you very much.
They've requested a continuance.
Yes, yes. Yeah, they have no DP number, so
That's true too, yes.
we need a motion to continue 0 Hudson Street to March 11th.
So moved.
Second on that one?
Second.
Second by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner.
Yes.
I vote yes. Continued, okay. No COCs, no violations. Yeah, at some time on the violation space, Vinny, at some point in time, we should probably talk about the patio and smoker at whatever number
4
Hillside
Hillside.
Road that is,
Yes,
but we don't have to do it now.
yes. Yeah, that actually looks like it has occurred in the last 5 years. So that'll be an interesting one to talk about.
Yeah, we'll take
It's
some
within
photos
the-
and bring those to the next month's meeting. So
Okay.
just something to look forward to. Okay, info and discussions. We have an update on the forest stewardship. What's going on?
Yes, the forest stewardship project. We got a draft contract and had some questions, concerns from Wigmore Forestry Resources, and sent them to the town administrator, and he had some changes and edits. So we sent that back to Wigmore, and I'm waiting for her to reply with any more comments or changes, and then hopefully we'll get it approved at the town administrator's office. So it's gone back and forth, but it's not done yet.
Okay, making progress though.
Yes.
Slow but sure.
Yes.
Bartlett Pond invasive plant management contract. I know that that Dan and Diane volunteered to do some work with you on that one too. And I saw what came out. So we want to talk about that.
Yes, I think that worked out very well. We put the invasive plant management contract out for a public bid, and we got 4 bidders on it as opposed to just the single one that we were expecting.
Good.
And our review committee, Dan and Diane, took a look at it, and I think they have a recommendation for you.
All right.
Well, I think what we got through with it, it ended up that there's what, how many applicants? 5?
4.
4. 3 of the 4 were too expensive or did not have the knowledge to do what we wanted. And so number 2, which is Solitude, has been working on the pond ever since, was selected.
Right, so Solitude Lake Management proposed on it, and they are the ones who've been doing the work on it since I think 2017, but I think they were ACT, which was the prior operator. Dan, you probably know more about this, but I think they worked on stuff from 2005 when it was done, or 2004 when it was done initially. So they're very familiar and were aware of what needed to be done at the pond.
Yeah. I want to apologize to Vinny and Diane too. I missed that meeting. Sorry about that. But
We got your comments electronically, so that worked out well. That was
yeah,
very
no,
helpful.
my schedule was screwed up that day, so I apologize. I didn't blow you off intentionally. It was
But we
bad
got some
schedule.
they got some comments, they baked those in, so here we go.
Yes,
Yes.
I did review it. Yes, provided my
Yes,
comments.
and it was
so.
good comments. Just the idea of the technical background information was very helpful for Diane and myself. And then again, it turns out that Solitude was the most qualified in the evaluations for qualifications. And then under the bid rules, we could have selected like a secondary. We didn't have to take the lowest bidder, but it turns out that our lowest bidder was also the one that came out as the most qualified or most advantageous for the town. And so the contract, if it's up to the commission, you would award the contract to Solitude. And where's my number? And their proposal was $40,950 for the treatment of the pond for the years 2024 to 2026. So 3-year period. That's
It's
the
about
total
100,
cost.
120 and some change for the 3 years.
No, that's a total cost.
All three.
All 3 years, 40,000 total.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. So that worked out very well. It was interesting because they were the ones that I was trying to get a proposal and a contract for last year. And their contract last year just to do the treatment was $28,000. And to do the treatment this year and do a notice of intent application was $20,000 or $24,000. So we saved $8,000 because we got the notice of intent to be done by Solitude. And then we're getting the treatment for less money than what we would have paid just for the treatment last year.
We
if
have the
we
funds,
got-
I believe, already set aside for that.
Yes, the money came from CPA, and we have more for the next years. I had originally tried to go for a 5 or a 6 year contract, but I was educated and found out that unless it's specific in the town meeting warrant article, that it can only be a 3-year maximum time frame on multi-year contracts, unless it's specific in the document.
How big was the price spread between Solitude and the high bidder, the highest expense?
The highest bidder was double, 79,500. But they were not familiar with the pond. They assumed the expensive treatment because they were just making some assumptions, and they were also doing some additional technical reviews and mapping and other work that wasn't part of the scope. So it would be great to have, and they were thinking long term, but it just wasn't worth the money.
Okay. Well, good. Okay, so we want to vote on accepting the recommendation and awarding.
Motion to
contract.
award the contract to Solitude Lake Management.
So moved.
Okay, that was made by Dan, who's
Second,
second by Justin. Roll call, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Could I sort of comment in here? One of the things in reading over all these applications, they were ongoing, and 3 years, it seems like a lot of time, but that's 2 summers and it goes by in a snap. Whether this ruling can be changed maybe to add another year or 2. I mean, Solitude seems to be doing a good job with it. They seem to have followed through on their promises, and not that the price is right, but they've are getting things done nicely. And it just seemed like it's every once in a while every couple of years we're turning around doing the same thing.
Yes.
You're suggesting we go beyond 3 years if we can. Apparently we can't though.
Well, as I was saying, it would require the town to approve it to go beyond the 3 years. And there's probably pros and cons as to why that would and would not be good, but it might be worth a try just to keep the pond a little cleaner.
Well, we should probably see how
On the other
Solitude
part
does,
of this too, excuse me, Greg, the other part of this too is we don't know what climate change is really gonna do. And that's a man-made pond. It could be, turn into a mess. Trying to see in the future is not good, but anyway, just a thought.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
thought.
Right. And the idea is that I think we still have $110,000 in the CPA pot of money. So that based on this scope and response is at least 2-3 year periods.
Mhm.
So when the 3 years comes due, we can send basically the same packet of information that I sent out. I've got it saved and documented electronically. So if I'm not here, the next person can kind of guide it through the same process. And I think it'll be an easier process to get it completed, but we do have money already approved. So there's no need to go back before town meeting. That's just
The
town
contract has
meeting.
an out, Vinny, right?
I'm sorry.
It has an out. If we're not pleased with Solitude's quality of work,
Yes.
we can get
Yeah.
out.
Right. There's if there's any inadequacies found, if the things they're doing are not appropriate or causing problems, then we can always negate the contract and get out of the contract.
Yep. Okay. All right, good. So we are good to go with that one.
Yes.
Brian's with us. Before we bring in Brian, let's talk about the 5 Barefoot Road. What's going on with that? We talked about that earlier, Vinny. 5 Barefoot Road, for those of you who remember, that is the property that was going to be a daycare center originally, and then it morphed to a group home, and then it morphed to something else, and now I think it's morphing back to something, Vinny. So help us out.
Yes, I've been contacted by the owners, actually the new buyers, and the commission originally approved a daycare center under the old 15-foot and 30-foot setback requirements. You voted more recently to extend that a couple of years ago in 2021, and then during that period, the owners were approached by the new proponents to have a group home there. So the group home was also proposed to be located over 100 feet away from the wetlands,
Right.
as opposed to 15 feet away from the wetlands. So all the work was basically taken out of jurisdiction under the old regulations. So this is a significant improvement. Then that owner or a prior owner stepped out, said the project was going to fall through. So then it was requested that they get their old proposal approved for the daycare center at 15 feet off. And a month or so ago, I was contacted saying that they're ready to do the group home. So they're back to doing the group home, but it is 85 feet away from the wetland. They needed to impinge into the 100-foot buffer a little bit, which still is a huge improvement over the original and currently approved proposal at 5 Barefoot for a daycare center. So the question that's come up is, are they allowed to just get started? Or would the commission want to have them do an amended order of conditions so that it becomes the group home is the approved plan and the old daycare center option goes away? So that was the question that was raised by a couple of members when we were walking. So I wasn't sure what the whole board's thoughts are.
So the order that they have, the order of conditions they have now, the approved order of conditions they have now,
Yep,
is for the group home.
is for the daycare. The order of conditions refers to the daycare that's mostly all in the 100-foot buffer zone and up to 15 or as close as 15 feet away from the the wetlands.
And that had retaining walls built into it and so forth. And
yes, that was ugly. And that one has been changed. It's a notice of non-significant change that was approved by the commission to allow for removing everything from the buffer zone and putting in a group home. What they're proposing now is to put in the group home, but not all totally outside the buffer zone. It's going into the buffer zone by about 15 feet for a little stormwater treatment, underground stormwater treatment area. So it's still a great improvement over the other. It's whether the commission wants to make that decision as an insignificant change or as an amended order of conditions.
Is the design the same as before, that we still have to talking retaining walls?
There are retaining walls in this one, but they're 4 feet high.
Right.
And they're not next to the wetlands. They are next to an isolated vegetated wetland, which under the old regulations was not jurisdictional, which is why they're hoping to go with a insignificant project change.
Okay. Commission thoughts?
I'd be fine with that. I mean, didn't we vote it though last time as an insignificant change? Like, did we get to see it and we voted it? I feel like that would be a similar thing here, right? Vinny, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
that's, I actually can pull up the plans if, no, I don't have those plans. That just came up yesterday. So or today. I don't have those plans, but it is.
Still review it. I don't think it would need a new notice of intent. I would just, amend the one that's existing with that. Same way that we did it before, assuming, much less impacts than the one we had originally approved.
Yep, that's the idea of what we're trying to do. What I'm questioning though is there's two ways to do it. We do it one way as doing an amended order of conditions where the old order of conditions to allow the work 15 feet away disappears, and the new order of conditions, the amended order, allows this group home as it's shown on the new plan. That will take some time. It also has to be, they have to notify the abutters under an amended order of conditions. So there's a delay till at least our next meeting for that to occur. The other option is to do it as a insignificant project change, but that doesn't negate the original approval, so that if they walk away from this one again, then you folks are stuck with the old approval and he's allowed to build things according to the old approval. So it's how comfortable you are with letting it happen this way. And that's why it's your decision to make.
Do they also need new planning board approval? No, because isn't the site change, I assume parking space numbers are changing and the building location and all that, so.
Add one more twist to this. This is a group home, so it falls under the Dover Amendment. So there is no planning board review. So that they can.
A daycare did. I didn't know a group home did. I thought it was churches and schools.
Yep, and the daycare, I guess the type of group home that they have also falls under the Dover Amendment. They explained it to me that it falls under an educational program, a residential educational program, I think is what they said. But Laurie Connors, our planning director, agreed that it does fall under the Dover Amendment. So it has use allowances as well as reduced requirements for setbacks. So they can't quite fit everything in and meet all the 25-foot or 40-foot setbacks. They have to infringe on those by like 10 or 15 feet, but that is an allowed exemption. It's kind of maximum extent feasible, like we do with wetlands impacts and those. So, but there is no planning board
Dover
review.
projects. I just thought they would still need approval from the planning board. It's just something you can't deny it. You're not allowed to deny it legally, but the planning board could still review it.
What I was told is the planning board doesn't have any jurisdiction over it. The building inspector still has to review it. And there are a couple of questions with some of the parking spaces and the layout of things, but it didn't appear to be anything overwhelming. And that it's outside my experience there at the Dover. The Dover kind of jumps and changes the rules.
So they want to bring this building 85 feet from the resource areas.
Yes. Yes.
And the original.
Well, the building is going to be way more than that. The only thing within the 100-foot buffer zone is an underground stormwater infiltration system.
Wow, that's it.
Right. So the pavement and all that stuff is 100 feet away from a wetland.
Yep.
So
Well,
it's a significant improvement over what is
sure.
approved in the order.
Well, given that that's the only change, I'm fine with the approach of just issuing the amended order, if that's the right way to go. If that's the easiest way. How about
It
Dan and
is?
Diane?
I think an amended order would be better because it kind of clears the screen for something that's sort of brand new.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Well, wait a minute. So Diane is saying an amended order, and I think you, Justin and Greg are saying notice of insignificant change. So if they have to come in and change the order of conditions to get this use, it's going to take them a month. And if that's the way you want to go, that's good. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing the right thing, because that's what an amended order will require.
What is your recommendation?
I like doing it as an amended order just because it like Diane says, it's clean and clear. There's no going back to that other option. And so that makes it clear. The problem is that they are, as most people are, when they get to this level, they're ready to build. They're ready to go out there. They want to get the building permit and they want to get started. So it's a possibility that we could allow them to do the clearing and grading prior to getting the amended order of conditions. So they're doing that work basically at risk. And then we ask them to do an amended order. But if the commission wants to go with it's an insignificant project change, just like the other one, only with a little impact into the buffer zone, we can do it that way as well. It's all up to the commission, and it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other to me. But either way, I'm still going to have to get called before they put or after they put the erosion or the sediment controls in. I have to inspect that and make sure the site work is being done. And as part of this, they would remove the old sediment controls that are out in the middle of the wetlands, right next to the wetlands, because they already put those in place. So they would have to do that before I allowed them or approved the sediment controls that are being put in place. So I'm sorry for being confusing, but there's a lot in this one.
I like the idea of the amended order only because it gives you a little bit of a better audit trail, I think, too, on this side. And this is changed twice already.
Yes. Yeah.
So, there's a trend here.
Yes, and when I checked with DEP about the insignificant project change, she said that's not in the wetlands regs. It's not really. That's something in our local bylaw.
Yep.
But it's not in the wetlands regs. So that's why she said that if they don't do an amended order, what they have approved is what they have approved.
I still think an amended order is better. It
Yep.
clears the screen and they can start from scratch. And I'm sorry they have to postpone, but that happens with building things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they know going into it that the commission, you're all in favor of the change. So it's not as though it's going to fail. It's kind of going through the process.
Yes.
So I'm suggesting that we go the amended order route.
Okay.
Unless anybody feels strongly differently.
I think that seems right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good with me.
Okay. I will contact Mr. Veninkaza and let him know.
And you should also get ready for the calls from the neighbors when they start chainsawing.
Yes. Yeah,
So, which will be at least a month away.
that's right.
All right.
Yes.
We good with that one then?
Yes.
Northborough Trails Committee, Brian Belfer. Let me see if Brian is still with us here. Okay, Brian, want to bring you in as a panelist?
Good evening.
There he is. Hey, Brian.
How is everyone tonight?
Yeah,
Good, good.
there you go. So, I'll do a quick setup here and then we'll turn it over to you, okay?
Sure thing.
So, the Northborough Trails Committee is looking to replace roughly, I think, 10 bridges, on the Berlin side, in Northborough property, a Berlin side of Pisgah.
Correct.
And Vinny and I walked it 10 bridges, and some are in pretty rough shape, and I can see why it needs to be done. So he's got, they pull a lot of people together here around this, including Sudbury Valley trustees, the Berlin Concom, Northborough Concom, the Trails Committee in Northborough. Northborough Trails Committee is going to lead the effort. Brian's going to lead the effort, which is good for our sake, I think. But, and we're going to do an RDA on this one. So today's purpose really is for Brian to give you an overview of what he wants to do, and we'll probably see a smiling face in a month with the RDA. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've walked through it. I actually dropped a walkthrough video on the Dropbox. I'm not sure if anyone else in the commission had a chance to review it, but basically, there's a super popular trailhead entrance on the east side of Pisgah. The parking lot is 235 Lyman Road in Berlin. The parcel, to the best of my looking at the map, is Northborough land. There's 10 old 2-foot by 12-foot long footbridges, some of which are in moderate shape, some of which are completely destroyed, all of which are too short and they're too slippery. Basically, that whole entrance to Pisgah has been, I don't know, neglected. We probably should have done this project 3 years ago. So what I'm proposing to do is to replace all of those bridges, but reuse almost all of them. Basically one by one, if you want me to read through this, or I could do the summary. But we're going to make proper bridges that are both taller and a little bit wider to get up out of the creek to let the water flow. So the whole first half basically covers, it's basically bridge replacements. Everything's going to be a little longer, a little wider, a little taller, with ramps so that people can get up and down, without giant steps. There's a couple areas of the trail that it's super eroded. It's all rooty adjacent to the rock wall. We've had good luck just dropping crushed bluestone to level the path with the roots. But I want to make sure that that's an acceptable thing to be dropping that. Obviously, it's just crushed bluestone. It's, just introducing some stone. It's not changing the water flow. It's just basically getting the terrain up to the rooty level. And then the bigger part is slightly uphill from here. There's about 50 feet of mud that people have been trampling through, goes along the side of the rock wall, and it's really become an obstacle with all of the seasonal flooding and the heavy rains and everything else. So the really new construction element to this is I would like to put approximately 50 feet of raised boardwalk up on helical piles to get it up out of the wetlands to cross over that last 50-footer. And yeah, from that last picture, it's basically from the last part of that bridge to where it's dry up by the pine needles. And sorry for rushing that. So, but yeah, it's a super popular trail entrance. And really, it as compared to the attention that the Trails Committee and other folks have given to other parts of Pisgah and other trails around town, this one is just super overdue. So my goal with this is to try to come up with a plan that that is done properly that everyone likes.
Right? And Vinny's going to work with you on that plan, Brian, right?
Yes, indeed.
Is your resource there, so. All right. Anybody have questions? That's the summary overview, so. No?
Sounds like a great project.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also kind of fun. It's an opportunity to get two towns and two different groups or three different groups actually working together. And everyone that I've talked to on Berlin Concom and SVT, everyone wants to do it. They were just waiting for someone who could really lead and manage it. And so I put my hands up and I said, I think we can do this.
There you go. Good stuff.
And this is the end of the parking area. So that's where we plow the snow right down into the wetland. But it's a good parking area. So that's what we're going to come in, and we're actually going to pull together a real plan. I'm working with our Northborough GIS. This is a GIS map from Northborough. We have to extend the wetlands that are on the map from Mass DEP to include these areas here. But this is that parking area, and this is the existing trail. Station 0 about at the trail, and then coming down here. And then all those photos are taken basically from this area here across what's wetlands. And this is a stone wall. This line here is the town line. And so this is all Berlin, but none of the work is really proposed in Berlin, except that's where they're going to be staging and bringing all the equipment in from that area.
And just to be clear, there's no power equipment. This is all hand done. We'll be carting lumber in. We'll be, hand driving, helical piles. No machinery is involved with this. Wheelbarrows, buckets, good old fashioned manual bridge building labor.
There you go. All right. So we'll see you in March.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks for waiting, Brian.
Thanks for taking the lead on this too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. All right, a little bit of housekeeping there. Oops. Did I do it? No. No. We lost Dan. Hope that wasn't me.
You lost Dan?
Yeah. I don't know if I pressed the wrong button or something. We'll blame Owen for that. Come on, Owen.
It's all my fault.
Oh, he's out in the waiting room. Oh, here he comes.
Sorry, Dan. Was that me? Did I do something I shouldn't have done?
I got thrown out of my own meeting. It's all right.
You've been thrown out of better places than
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. MAC annual conference. Course selections due, town will reimburse. Vinny's the contact.
Yes, I've gotten information from Diane and Dan of the ones that they want. I'm waiting to notify MACC, and I think I can get it paid for directly by the commission if I talk to them tomorrow.
Okay. I'll
So
let
I
you
was
know
gonna-
tomorrow
if
on
it-
that. I'll
Okay,
call
if
you at home.
anyone-
I'll work your cell tomorrow on that.
Send me an email. That's probably the easiest.
Okay.
And Justin, you're welcome to go and attend, or if you want to give one of the training sessions. They're always looking for people.
I've done them. I did a stormwater one year there.
Yeah.
Still at Holy Cross.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're doing a combination of in-person and remote or hybrid.
Oh.
Yeah, there are 4 hybrid ones available that you can look on, and they'll have those recorded, so you don't have to do it at the whatever 9:45 on that Saturday. So you can register for it and watch it at your leisure.
Okay, interesting.
That's
All right.
nice.
Yes.
Anything else anybody has? Well, before we go there, March 11th is good for everybody, or do we have issues that we know of?
We continue the hearings till then, so that's
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Good for
we'd like
me.
to have we can get people there, so that's
Mm.
okay. Anything else going on? Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Anything going on in your section of town or?
Mm.
Okay. Good. Vinny, anything from your side?
No, no. We've got a
Excellent.
long list of projects that are working their way through.
Then we can adjourn, I believe. Need a motion to adjourn.
I so move. We adjourn.
Second,
Seconded by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
I vote yes. Great. Thanks for your attending. Owen Jones, thanks for your help again. Great as usual.
Oh, somebody
Enjoy
does
your
have
off
a
day.
hand raised.
Enjoy your snow day tomorrow.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Vinny.
All
Night,
right.
folks.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.